Okay, so as I always start with these discussions, I always start off talking about the reasons why we're doing that, although many have heard why. I usually do at the beginning of each because not everybody has seen these videos. So essentially, the whole purpose to these discussions that we're having are to kind of get information out there into the collective. There are so many people that are looking for different ways to heal. You know, they go to doctors and doctors are saying, "Oh, I can't find anything wrong with you. You know, you're all the tests came back clear. I don't know, there's nothing wrong, but here, I'll give you a prescription anyways, and maybe this will help." And people are fed up, right? They're looking for natural methods and something that resonates with them, something different and unique. And there, you know, as I've said before, there are so many of these modalities that even I am starting to learn about. Even I thought I knew quite a bit about what's out there, and holy Moses, am I ever wrong on that one? So we've already had quite a few unique different types of modalities and people sharing their passions to help others. So tonight we have Peter Arcari. I've known Peter for, I'm going to say, approximately 3 to 4 years. Done a lot of work with Peter over the years. We've done sound healings and numerous other things. He's come to several retreats that Rosemary and I have held and helped out in various ways. So I guess what we need to do is, so Peter's giving me just a little bit of a write-up about who he is. So short and sweet for me, and then I'm giving it to you, Peter, and you can talk about you and that type of thing, because you're going to be better at that than I am. So basically, who is Peter? I know, Peter, you've mentioned challenges when you were growing up, which led to pushing yourself much harder than what a lot would do. You had to really, you were really striving to impress upon your parents that, you're doing a great job and that type of thing. And there are many types of things that you've studied in terms of different ways to help people, which we can get into after. But how about you tell us a little bit about you in your life and coming to the point that you're at now?
Well, currently I focus my work predominantly on self-empowerment and helping people to get over shame, get over limiting beliefs, and that's my main focus right now. Is I really enjoy self-empowerment and understanding where shame and limiting beliefs come from. And I think that predominantly came from the way I was raised, where my parents they're immigrants from Italy, and they worked very hard to get everything that they have, and also for my siblings and I. And so they come from a time where everything is about hard work. The more you put time into something, the more that you're going to get better jobs and get advancements in jobs, and promotions, and get to manager levels, and you put in more time and more effort, and you get more rewards, and you save your money, and you live your life kind of later. And
yeah, I was raised that way. I get that.
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing for anybody that's definitely 45 and over. I'm over 45, so that what that leads to is people having to, our parents and everyone before them, having to just swallow, repress, push down any personal needs. A lot of emotions get pushed down because it's about just, you gotta, feed. It's not even about paying the bills. It's about feeding the mouths. At that point, survival. It's not like, oh, if we work harder, we're going to have an easier life or go traveling. At this point in time, a lot of people are like, we have nothing at all, and we're just looking to have a stable home and good food, and to just, enjoy our families. So when there's tough times at work, you just keep pushing through. When there's tough times with money, you just keep pushing through. If you're having, if you feel like you want to start an argument with your family or your kids or whatever, you sometimes just don't, and just keep sticking with it because you got to get through until everybody is got stable income and stable lives. But it's always about stable income, stable lives, and just keep pushing through. And I think at this time, there wasn't really a lot of focus on stable minds, stable emotions, stable communication. It was just like, just push through. And for me, it really, they impressed upon me that the how important it is to just focus on working hard, doing better. And I took that in as, well, I'm not good enough. Now, I'm not saying they put this upon me. My parents love me.
I get it.
But kids interpret, okay? And kids at a young age don't know hard work. Work doesn't exist for a kid. It's all about play, support, love, connection, being celebrated, being seen, like being acknowledged. And there's just not enough time for that when you're working 2-3 jobs and trying to just survive and feed your kids. So for me, my interpretation of how do you get love is work harder, work better. So I really went the route of I became a perfectionist and an overachiever. So by the time I was 14 years old, I owned a business. I was doing graphic design. I was designing logos, print materials, and that was grade 9. Like literally high school meant I was an adult and I was working. I had multiple jobs. I was working 2 or 3 jobs. I had my own company. And I was always looking to push that further. And by the time, I think by grade 9, like in grade 9, I was having contracts. People were contracting me to make designs, artwork. And by grade 10, I was on staff as the senior designer of an insurance company. And that insurance company, I worked with the senior VP of marketing. I was in that department. I was the only designer in the company. This like 30-person multi-million-dollar company, not a small thing. And that led to people seeing my work, and I got hired into web design. And I worked for a web design company where the owner of that company saw my potential and started a side company with me where we did website designs and photo imaging. And I was like 15 at that point. So, I co-owned a company called ImageWorks by then. So like, this is 15 years old. I'm on my second company with a major portfolio under my belt. And like, I'm literally still in high school at this point. So, wow. So that's just kind of, and the story goes on from there about like leading teams and creating companies. And all of that was because it was just so ingrained in me that your value comes from how hard you work.
Yeah.
And not how much money you have in the bank account, but how stable you are. So my drive to do better and do more wasn't because I was trying to have more. It was because doing more meant that I would be more stable. So stable to us means secure. And so secure attachments style comes into play there. And for me, security came from knowing that I was in control of my income and my destiny. And I came to realize that, as a single human, as an individual, as all of us are not in total control of anything other than, anything. Okay. And then that led me, after seeing businesses crumble and seeing multi-million-dollar companies go bankrupt that, I worked for or were, that I knew about. And I was like, wow, like nothing feels secure. And then that really anchored into me. Well, my parents are really right. If you don't constantly work, job can be taken away from you. Family can be taken away from you. House can be taken away from you. Anything can just be lost. So that really set fear into me. And that made me work even harder. And 80-hour work weeks at a 40-hour job was normal for me. And getting to the, trying to get to senior level management of any company I was involved in. And I've owned a company since I was 14. So in some variation, whether it was design companies, cacao drink supplier, manufacturer and supplier of a recipe that I created and own, or vaping company and eventually I just realized we are really so dependent on the world around us. And yet, without being secure in ourselves and independent, nobody really supports us. It's kind of like how a bank only wants to give you money when you already have money. Like when you don't need things, people keep offering stuff to you. And then when you're down in the dumps, people tend to kind of leave you to deal with it on your own. And that really showed me the importance of personal empowerment. So all of this led to why I currently focus on what is personal empowerment? What do we have control over in our lives? What do we do? How do we manage or handle emotionally and logically the things that we don't have control over? And how much does the external world impact our sense of security and ability and confidence? So we tend to tie a lot of our self-esteem to our job or our bank account or our resume, what we've achieved. And there's such a paradox that without personal security and good self-esteem and good high self-confidence, we don't actually really get a lot of success. But without a lot of success, we don't really have a lot of self-esteem and self-confidence. And there's this paradox of how do we actually achieve something great that requires confidence, but you don't have confidence until you achieve something great. So like, where do we start?
It's that vicious circle. It's like being on a hamster wheel.
Yeah. And it really is this, it's a teeter-totter. It's really just a seesaw, a scale of like, the more I take on for myself and do it all on my own, the more heavy I become and feel, and the less other people do. And then when other people do less for us, we end up doing even more and dragging ourselves down and getting run down, and then we get burned out. So I had a couple of times in my life where I had severe burnout, adrenal fatigue, constant, just fatigue, tired all the time, taking naps in the middle of the work day, falling asleep on my desk, in the car, just mental fatigue, and always feeling like I can't stop, I can't rest, I got to keep working even harder because otherwise everything's going to come to a crash and burn. And that's the paradox. Everything comes to a crash and burn when you get burned out. And then it crashes and burns anyway. So where's life balance? Where does it start? Do we wait for the world to give us something before we're happy? Or do we find happiness first and then the world gives us something? So that's what had me leave my product companies, my design and advertising company, and I shut all of that down because I felt like I was constantly on that hamster wheel of, oh, I just finished something, somebody's happy, that drives me to do more. Now that's finished, and that drives me to do more. And it's like, when's enough enough? When are you good enough? When can you be happy enough?
So at what point? So there was a time and place when you actually went into doing the shamanism, which and then, the sound therapy is, I can never say enough about. As I told you, I'd really like to get together and still do some of what we used to do. Because as I've told you, I've been to several sessions for sound therapies, and you still bar none. The way you connect with the instruments and the way you connect with what each individual needs when you're playing those instruments is beautiful. It really is a beautiful thing. So at what point through the course of all of this, you've gone through all of this kind of almost corporate type training, right? So at what point did you change that up?
So 6 years ago, I shut down my cacao making company, my e-cigarette company, and I went to, I did, how do I say this? So during my burnout period, while owning those companies, I started studying yoga. I got certified as a yoga instructor at a high level. I had 500 hours of training over 3 years with a Canadian location of an Indian ashram. So I was studying directly from an Indian ashram, the oldest one in India, called the Yoga Institute in Mumbai. But I stayed in Canada, and they kind of flew here and gave us the content. And that led me on a path of understanding control of the mind. So after yoga training, I went on to do meditation instruction training. So I took a year of meditation training to be certified in that. And that's when I noticed that doing the exact opposite, doing nothing, literally just sitting in silence, brought on more answers, more calm, more confidence, more awareness. And it was like, wow, I've had it backwards all this time. I've been working so hard to make a reality happen for myself. And there's working hard and working smart, or working efficiently, right? So working hard might mean I don't know what to do, but I'm going to drill away until I figure it out. But working from more of a connected place, we can sit and meditate and come to a calm, peaceful place within ourselves, and inspiration pops up, ideas, ingenuity, answers, solutions. And so from my yoga and meditation training, which started 16 years ago, that's when because in India they have many ceremonies, pujas and grand ceremonies, flowers and incenses, and it's elephants decorated, just like, I mean, it's huge. And things that go on for days, like 7 straight days. And I was like, we don't really have any of that in Canada at all. Here, it's just like you work and you maybe have a party on the weekend, then you work. And, it was always interesting to me, how did they spend so much time meditating and eating, just celebrating with food and spending time with family? They spend so much of their time doing that, and they still have success. And here, we get burned out. We don't spend time meditating or really going deep inward, and like maybe we got it backwards. So I then 6 years ago went into expressive arts therapy at Fleming College, got certified expressive arts therapist. I had been training in sound therapy because of the yoga and the meditation, leading into running sound baths as part of the meditation classes, adding instruments. So it just kind of developed over the starting from 16 years ago. Yoga meditation developed into sound therapy, and that went on for 10 years. And then 6 years ago, seeing the impact that meditating and centering and going inward for introspection, and like, I was like, I want to know more about the science of that. So I studied expressive arts therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, a little bit of psychology, a lot of psychotherapy, and expressive arts therapy is a section of psychotherapy, so it's all taught by psychotherapists. But I chose not to go the route of becoming a registered psychotherapist. I decided to, instead of focusing on psychotherapy, expressive arts therapy was enough psychotherapy for me. And then I added on to that, like neuro-linguistic programming, coaching, mindset, how beliefs work. And that led to about 3 years ago, I got my hypnotherapy certification, which took me a year to get, because it's
I took the hypnotherapy. It's very interesting how that works. I took that, oh my God, over a decade ago. And I do use it before certain ceremonies, because sometimes it does help to open that subconscious that's got closed doors, and help to kind of prop it open a little to kind of get in and help, right?
Yeah. And through those trainings, we, as you would know, you have to receive, like, it's part of training that you have to give sessions and receive sessions. And that's when it really started to show me that a lot of my focus was on changing the world outside of me. And in my expressive arts therapy training, hypnotherapy and coaching training, I'm like having to go through it. And I'm like, I never did any of this. We don't really know who we are. We don't really understand how we work. Like, an individual has very little training on who they actually are. We mostly get trained on what we do. Right. What's our job, right? What are we giving to the world? And very rarely is that actually aligned with what your joy is. I mean, how many musicians don't make money off of music? How many artists don't live off of making art and are forced to go just get day jobs? So I wanted to kind of look at what, so in going through the training and receiving so much therapy and it showed me that meditating and stillness does bring awareness, but it still doesn't teach resolution. What's the processing of that emotion? Where does it sit inside of you? So psychosomatic therapy involves looking at where does an emotion sit in your body? How does it sense in your body? How did your body interpret that event that happened in your life? Hypnotherapy involves rewiring the belief or recoding or just reinterpreting an experience from our past that we didn't have enough perspective to see. We only had so much perspective. And then when time passes, we can go back and look at it with a wider perspective of, wow, I really labeled that as bad, but maybe it wasn't so bad. Or I labeled that as my fault when it wasn't even my fault. So I really love that the combination of surrendering, vulnerability, stillness, introspection leads to awareness, but that awareness then needs modalities to actually process, come to terms with, create closure or create inspiration, and then move forward. And then it becomes coaching. So I now kind of like, I find that how many times have I met somebody that said, yeah, I tried hypnotherapy, it doesn't work for me. Yeah, I went to yoga, it didn't really work for me. Yeah, I went to sound bath and it was awesome, but then I left the
meditation. Oh, I can't do meditation.
Yeah. And it's
over the years, that is something I have heard. I mean, I can't count how many times that, oh, I can't do that. Oh, yeah, anybody can do it. It just, everybody has a different method or there's a different way, or you just have to work with it, practice it, No, I can't do it. You just write it off.
And you can see now from where I started this conversation, that is anchored to belief. It's limiting beliefs. And that's when I started to realize, wow, I want to merge everything I've learned and just focus directly at where's this limiting belief come from? There are literal 3-year-olds that are sitting and meditating. You can look at videos of schools of kids that are 6 years old, like sitting perfectly for like a half hour. And we don't think of kids as being able to sit still. This is all wrong. Beautiful. It's all limiting beliefs that come from a time where we think kids don't sit still because we had to make them work on the farm when they were 6 years old. They had to be part of the family making money by the time they were 10. So, we're coming to, I'm very blessed to be living in a time where so much of people 30 and under, like 2-year-olds up to 30-year-olds right now, live in such a state where they're like, I don't really have to work so hard to get everything I want in life. And they just have this awareness and wisdom that people that are, 40 and over, 45 and over, it's a massive thought shift to think, you mean I can just meditate on creating something and it will actually be faster than if I work 40 hours or 60 hours a week creating it? Like, this is all a new world of getting into like quantum level thinking and really getting deeper into the subconscious mind and realizing that 90% of our thoughts are at the subconscious level. We're not even fully aware of them. 10% of what we do is like what we think we know and what we're operating at. It's such a minor amount.
Well, and that's the thing, the brain, people just don't get. Our thoughts are so powerful. Some people just don't know or they don't understand. Like even you get off topic here a bit, but manifestation. I mean, it's not hard, but it can be, right?
Yeah. And I love what you're saying about thoughts are very powerful. And this is the focus of my work. Thoughts are powerful. Now we need to look at very consciously, whose thoughts am I thinking? Because a thought is powerful even when it's someone else's and we don't realize it's not ours. And we're operating on my parents' belief that I need to work to have security.
Yeah.
I've owned multiple companies. I can actually work zero. I could work literally 1 hour a week if I really wanted to and have more security than most of the world. It's, but it has to be rooted in a belief, in a thought that there's a system for that it is possible. A person can spontaneously go into spiritual awakening in a moment.
Yeah, and they are.
and with no prior belief to it, but surrendering to the possibility, surrendering even just for a moment that it is possible in the right time, in the right place, with the right people or the right person. And old beliefs can be changed very quickly. But what's most important is the realization that most of the beliefs that we are operating at are not ours. They're not even ours. Many people,
they've been embedded.
They're just embedded, they're programmed, they're taught, they're trained, they're witnessed, and we take them on, not knowing, nobody correcting us or teaching us. And so much of what we have is from survival. It's just trying to do the best we can with what we have. And I love bringing people through a process, which is a process of quickly switching between meditation, thought, embodiment, manifesting visualizations, back to sound work, back into meditating again, back into scripting it out and writing it out and planning it, back to imagining doing it, putting it into the body, seeing where the blocks are, going back, and just keep cycling through that. That's the expressive arts therapy modality of cycling through a concept. But I've taken that and now I've expanded it to cycling through modalities to really bring a person down to a level of understanding what are my thoughts and what are thoughts that weren't mine. And then once we separate other people's thoughts out, we then take our thoughts and go, what are my thoughts because of the way I'm made, my soul's purpose? And what are my thoughts because I actually do have to pay the bills and I really do have to focus on my kids? So how is my life driving my thoughts, which are mine? But how much can I live into the way my personality, my spirit, my alignment, my physicality, how can I live into the way I'm supposed to be thinking that's most aligned to my health, my mindset, what I want to see in the world?
Yeah, well put. Not something that's easy for people. I know even at my age, I know it's one of those things where I still work on myself, as we all do, but there's still times when there's things like the working too hard. I had a father who was an extreme perfectionist and an absolute clean freak, which is a deadly combination, I might add. So, I mean, I definitely relate to that upbringing, that, and he was a bit controlling. So, that whole piece there was, it's definitely, again, right, being brought up with that, what I used to call the regime, in terms of how things looked for me when I was growing up. And, you got to toe the line and you got to do this. And if you want to succeed, you need to get out there and you need to work 7 days a week. You're like, Dad didn't work that often, but it was still, that was still the premise that you worked your butt off, however that looked. Right.
And I think that, I think there's phases where that's necessary.
I agree.
I think that we don't really get taught that that's a phase. That's a building phase or a development phase. It's not life.
No.
And people get trained like you retire at 65, which means you work 40 hours a week or more until you're 65.
Yeah.
And then what do? Then you start working on yourself? Okay. But sadly, I know too many people that are now dead at 65. Like it's too late. They're dying of cancer, of illnesses and chemical poisoning and allergies that never even existed 20 years ago and food intolerances. Like, 65 is too long now to wait to start working on yourself. And
my mother died at 66. So,
and here's the paradox again. Working this hard is actually what causes a lot of the illnesses. Stress is the number one cause of all diseases.
Yep.
Physical diseases, ailments, colds, sicknesses, literally could have been fought off with less stress in the body, an alkaline system, more self-awareness and self-care.
Yeah.
So even when a person does actually catch an illness, they would fight it off faster if they weren't working themselves crazy, thinking that that's the way life is. So where is personal empowerment? Where do our thoughts create our internal reality? The thoughts then drive our beliefs. Our beliefs then drive our actions. Our repeated actions actually create our personality, creates our world. And then that feeds back into our thoughts, our beliefs, the actions, and we create our own hamster wheel this way.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. People that have a lot of low self-esteem, do they really recognize themselves? Like internally, do they respond to knowing that, okay, yeah, this is my issue? Or is that something that they kind of need to be shown and worked with?
Most people with low self-esteem do not know they have low self-esteem. And almost everyone that's burning out does not think they're burning out. Okay? Yeah. So the first step for people is to recognize that the long-term pattern of what they're sustaining now will eventually lead to a problem. And people wait until there's a problem before they change. So
yeah, it's got to smack them up the side of the head before they go, oh, okay.
Yeah. So the first thing to do is to start to have people become aware at an earlier stage that they're getting burned out, or the reason why they're trying so hard and working so hard is actually because of a limiting belief. And the limiting belief is actually because of a low self-esteem, which means I don't deserve it. Life doesn't work that way for me. So people don't see it as low self-esteem. Limiting beliefs is a bit easier to handle because it's like, I understand that things are available in the world, but they're not available to me. Like, sure, if I had a different life, if my parents gave me more money, if I went to different schooling, then maybe I could make more money and have a different life, but I can't. And it's like limiting belief, because it's not a fact. The fact is that there are people that are like 60 years old that have gone through multiple bankruptcies and then go on to be billionaires, not just millionaires, literal billionaires. Like, yep. The beauty of the internet now is that we have case studies and examples of people that are now proving that so many of the limiting beliefs are really not necessary. They're not wrong. I'm not going to call them wrong.
No.
They had a reason for being, but they're no longer permanent. And I think that's the first thing to start with is, even though so a person has to ask themselves, even though I am getting through, even though I have to deal with what I have right now because that's where I've gotten to, do I really need to actually keep living like this? Do I really need to? Because a lot of people say, yes, I have to keep working hard. I have to keep doing this, or else I'm going to lose it all. And that's where the fine line of, up until now, that was true. While you're transitioning into a new life and a new way of thinking, that's true. But we have to at some point go, this is temporary. I don't have to keep living this way.
So how long does it typically take for someone to change the limiting belief or the low self-esteem or that type of thing? I mean, everybody's different, obviously. But if you were to ballpark in terms of the length of time that it may take someone.
So there's several numbers that have been kind of published or people have kind of toyed with. For some people, a single 2.5-hour hypnotherapy session can permanently change them forever. Mm-hmm. So it could happen in 3 hours. But or an aha moment, a click. I mean, I've seen people literally watch an online video and just go, I can't believe this never clicked in with me before. Every other time somebody said it, but today it's clicking. And so this is the important thing. Even Tony Robbins says this, like transformation literally happens like this. Okay. It happens instantly, but when it's happening instantly, a series of events have been happening over the course of the person's entire life that built up enough pressure that there was a breaking point that was coming. And the breaking point then necessitated the breakthrough. Okay? You're either going to get, these are my words now, you're either going to get a breakdown or a breakthrough. Mm-hmm. Okay? And sometimes the breakdown and a breakthrough come after a breakup. Okay? Just to like have a play with some words here. So what does it take? How long? Okay, so what's the shortest that it's possible? Instant. But that's now, I just said it's not really a fact because I don't know what series of events led to the breakthrough. So then we say, for some people, the breakthrough is genuinely instant, but that's because pressure built up. Pressure, stress, things are literally breaking down. Yeah. And then they're like, look, I'm either going to die or I'm either going to fall down or I'm going to have to get up at this point. I can't stay the same. Okay, this is slowly getting worse. I'm now fully aware of this. This is what a person has to say to themselves. I'm aware that if I continue on this trajectory, it's going to, at some point, snap. And what people have a hard time doing is thinking that it's going to snap. They think it's going to slowly drop off and get worse. They're going to have warning, and that's when they're going to make a change. Yeah. And even when you follow people's trajectory on that, it goes down, 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 down. And it's only at the point where something slips. It dips suddenly, unpredictably. Like suddenly they doze off in the car while they're driving and almost get into an accident. We're like, okay. So we call that the sobering moment. Okay. The bottom, hitting rock bottom. Okay. So when somebody hits rock bottom and it's a do or die situation, that's rock bottom. There's the slip. Okay. So the slip up, the sobering moment is like, this is going to hit rock bottom. I have to do something now before. So there's the slip. Okay. And then that's the awakening or the sobering moment. There's the rock bottom. And then at that point, death becomes an option for people. And they either fully break down or they jump up. Okay. For some people, they go down, they dip, they go, I'm going to keep fighting. They dip, I'm going to keep fighting. Dip, I'm going to keep fighting. Then a breakdown. While they're broken down, no, I'm not really broken down. I'm still denying all of it. And that's when their health kicks in. Then the health literally makes them bedridden, forced to go into the hospital, forced to lose their job because they just can't physically do it anymore. So there's still, for some people, it's still not a sobering moment. So for some people, it happens when they see that they're impacting someone else. So it's like, if I don't change, my family's going to starve. If I don't change, my whole company is going to go down in flames. If I don't change, I'm going to lose all my friends. So for some people, it happens in an instant, only after they've lost enough things. Mm-hmm. For some people, it happens in an instant when their health drops. And for some people, it's literally none of those bad things happen. They're just scooting along just fine. And everyone around them starts talking about how great life is. They're fine. But everyone's like, this is awesome. And I'm having this great time. And I'm in Mexico now. And I'm in Costa Rica. And we're like, how are they doing that? What am I missing out on? So sometimes there's like this view of like this heaven that we were fine not working towards. We're just fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's homeostasis. That's stability. That's like what my parents taught me. Just be stable. Just be happy with your day job. Just be happy with your recurring income. Just be happy with your 2 weeks vacation. Yeah. You know? And it's like, but I'm looking at all these people just in heaven on earth. Why can't I have that? Well, that's a sobering moment. That's so we would call that an aha moment.
Aha moment.
I wouldn't call that a sobering moment or a breakthrough or a breakdown. Rock bottom. Sorry, there's sobering moment, there's rock bottom, but sometimes it's just like, wait a minute, something about what that person just did clicked. So in that scenario, it's because a person. So in your case, it'd be a woman. You would see a series of women over 50 years old with, predominantly lighter skin that have predominantly rounder faces. There's going to be something that you're going to look at them and go, they're just like me. I'm just like them. They're going to have a type of family. They're going to have a type of workplace. They're going to have a life story. They're going to have their parents treat them a certain way, even if they don't look anything like you. And you're going to be like, I have that life experience. I have that way of thinking. Mm-hmm. I look just like that. Why are they doing something that I'm not doing? If they can do it, so can I. So that's the aha moment is, hold on, they're proving to me that something's possible that I didn't think was possible. So the aha moment is suddenly there's a limiting belief that we become aware of. Now that one I would not call instant. The sobering moment can be instant. The hypnosis or some kind of breakthrough, sure, that can be instant. But the kind of aha usually leads to a progressive improving and changing over time because a person was stable, because a person was fine. So they're just making subtle changes over time to improve because there's no real rush. There's no pressure. So the short answer, how quickly can somebody make a change, is how much pressure are they under to make that change?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. And if a person's not under pressure, they will take a long time. So then the question is, different question, how driven and motivated, how enamored and in awe, inspired, just genuinely just eye-opening level of heart-centered connection to this idea, how much are they in love with it? Will they put everything into it? That's the opposite of how much pain are they in, rock bottom, that they'll put everything into it. It's how much in love with it, the idea, then they put everything into it. And both the extreme inspiration and the extreme rock bottom will both quickly lead to a transformation.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, most definitely. It makes sense, depending on, like you said, the circumstances leading up to that change, right? So it totally makes sense.
And a lot of, and it's just coming to me now, 1/3 kind of, a person can suddenly just decide that they've kind of just had enough. They've given up. It's not rock bottom. It's not really sobering. It's not inspiration. Just at some point, some people just go, I'm kind of tired of this. I'm just kind of tired of just doing things the same all the time. You know what? I just let go. I just completely surrendered to the idea that I had. I'm just bored of it now. Nothing's changing. It's just the same line all the way across. Other people are changing and having variety. And I was secure with that. But now I want variety. And sometimes it's just genuine, being done with it. There's just this kind of I just let it go. I just don't need to think that anymore. I'm just finished with it. Yeah. And who knows when that comes? I mean, that's just an individual journey at that point.
Yeah, most definitely. So kind of changing it a little over, talking kind of about the framing drums and kind of doing the circles and that as well. As I'd mentioned before, you're multi-talented because you have so many things you've done in the past, and you've led up to mainly what we've been talking about is the work that you're mainly doing. But you do still do circles and some of the sound components. So tell us a little bit about that now too.
So I found that with the sound therapy, it was really great for the type of person that needs to relax and go centered, go inwards. So sound therapy is really great for a person to become more connected and in tune with what's happening in their body. What I find is that there are kinesthetic types, auditory types, visual types, okay? Auditory types, languaging, something just fell, languaging, neuro-linguistic programming, logical kind of processing and flow charting, that works for like logical type, auditory types. Okay.
Right.
Verbal types, visual types. Obviously it's things that are more visual that will work. So like you can talk to them, you can explain to them what something feels like, but it's not until they see a transformation or they can see a picture of themselves before and after, like they need to physically see with their eyes something different. So for some people, it doesn't matter how much you show them, it doesn't matter how much you talk to them about it, it doesn't matter how much you describe it, they have to physically experience it. Those are kinesthetic types, okay? So sound therapy works amazingly well for kinesthetic types, people that have to actually feel a sensation in their body. And sound can really bring on moods and journeys. Like just think of music. What's the difference in your body when you listen to hardcore rap music versus classical music? It just changes your mood and the type of processing that you're doing at that moment. So I just kind of found over time of doing a lot of sound therapy that people don't really know if it's going to work for them until they show up. So then people show up and a lot of people leave and just go, that was very relaxing. I don't know that I think differently though. Some people do, but not everyone. And then I was like, but everyone loves the sound, but not everyone pulls that into a more psychological meaning or like an actual logical resolution. So then I was like, well, how do we do sound work, meditation work, hypnotherapy work, merge them all together? So there's visuals, tactile, physical and logical things all happening. And for me, that really worked really well. I found it came from frame drumming. So I did it for myself because I was just interested in drums, because I'm very sound sensitive and I like drums that people would say to me during my sound baths, I love the ocean drum that I made. So it sounds like the ocean.
I love that.
Then some people would say like, oh, I really love the depth of that drum. Like it was just this low hum. I could feel it in my body. And that was very sensory for people. And then with the drums are traditionally used for drum journeys, vision quests, actual like intentional, logical things that you're doing with this sound journey. So that's when I started studying more the science of entrainment, brain entrainment, rhythm entrainment, and how that can be used to actually create transformation in the mind, logical transformation. So I got into making drums. I made every drum that you see in this entire video. Every drum in both of our houses, I made all of them.
Those, Peter, I have 5. You can't see all of them. I don't. It's hard to say in this.
4 there, yeah.
But every one of those Peter did make, as well as the sticks that I use and the rattles and.
Yeah. So the sticks are like, this is a rabbit for a stick, and
I have one of those too. It's a dark rabbit fur, though.
You got the dark rabbit fur. And this is what the drum looks like on the back. So this is my design based on some styles that I've seen in the world, but I created this design. And I designed it for the sake of doing sound therapy and for doing sound journeys. So aside from like doing sessions of psychotherapy and psychotherapeutic sessions, because I'm not a registered psychologist, but I am an expressive arts therapist. And so therapeutic sessions, talk therapy, movement therapy, hypnotherapy, of course, which is recoding and reprogramming the perspective of an old belief. Very, very powerful. There's also, I now do drum journeys where we take a concept and we actually use the drum in ways of moving. So I give people a drum. There might be 10 people, 20 people in a room. Everybody gets a drum, and we actually use drumming to explore an idea or an experience so that the movement and the sound and the talking and the drumming, which you're producing sound on your own body. So you now have control to move the sound, work on yourself, listen to it, become more auditory if you want, or become more tactile and play it on your body, or it might be more visual. And you just still with the sound, and the entrainment gets you into a dream state where you're visualizing a concept. So the drum, I feel, emerges with all of the different modalities that I have, whether it's sound therapy or conceptual or talking or movement. The drum just works with everything. So, and especially this design, which allows you to actually move around the drum and hold it in different ways and work with it.
I love that design as well, because when I'm doing ceremonies and other things, I'm often guided to not use a stick at all, to actually use my hands. So with that setup that you've created with the bar down the center, the handle down the center, as opposed to it all being closed off, I find it's a lot easier. The sound, when you've got to set it on your body or on your knees, because of course you're getting some of it covered, but it's still so open and it's much easier to balance, I find.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I love that you love the drums, and I know you've done some really amazing work for people with the drums, like actually working on people and with people with the drums. So that's kind of something that I offer and do now as well, to give, because what I'm seeing now as a trend is there's kind of an age and a life experience that causes people to basically only want to talk through problems. But there's a younger crowd, or a more kind of spiritually awakened, or a more kind of energetically connected crowd of any age, where going to a psychotherapist or a psychologist is mostly verbally driven. And kind of spirituality or just energy awareness, self-awareness is kind of left out of it, because each profession has to kind of focus. Like, you might go to a Reiki master, which I am. You might go to a psychotherapist, which I am a therapist. You might go to a person who does body work, which, I do with sound work in the body. And there are people now that are kind of looking to merge all of those. And they're finding, I get a lot of phone calls for people that say, I went to this psychologist and this therapist, and I went through this whole program at this hospital or at this organization, and I come out of it and I still have the same problem. I still have the same habit, the same belief. I go to a person who works on rewiring beliefs, which is also something I do. And they say to me, it's still not rewired. What am I missing? And I like merging all the modalities for a person, so they can say, oh, you know what? Like, what I was missing was this more kind of spiritual, or something that people don't really have words for. They're just like, it's a sense. It's not an emotion. It's not a body sense. There's this now kind of connective, empathic, psychic sense that people are being awakened to. Yeah. And I don't think that's age related. I think that's time related. I think it's because it's 2023 that there are so many. I have never had more people ask me about drumming. And that's not just me. Like, literally, Canada ran out of deer skins in November because so many people were making drums. My drum frames were 3 months back ordered for the first time ever. And they're like, why is everyone asking for drums right now? I had to create a whole weekly drum class on Monday nights in Toronto for now, at the time of this recording, because people just keep like, I need to play a drum and go into this. Like, I need to get into more of this sensory state. And it's really amazing to see this kind of evolution happening right now. And so this is actually why I brought back the drum making and the drum sessions and the drum ceremonies and the drum circles. I worked in a teepee. I got invited into a teepee just 2 weeks ago.
No, I saw that. Yeah, it looked beautiful.
And then I'm in a yoga studio every week. People are asking me. I'm getting phone calls from people trying to bring me out to their locations in different cities now, traveling around Ontario, bringing in the drums, because so many people are asking for it. And it's not because of the drum. It's because of this evolution of trying to merge the mind with the body with the sensory, empathic, psychic thing that's just turning on in people right now.
Well, it is. And years ago, I think we've talked about it before. I was in a band, I did percussion, and the didgeridoo and drums, those are or bass, right? But it's always that sound for me, that grounding, yet not grounding sometimes, right? It depends on what's going on at the time. But that's always been my thing too. And more people, I think, are starting to realize, whereas, and I kind of joke with friends of mine who are musicians and stuff, because, the drummer's always the one in the background that nobody sees, because you got the guitarist and the vocalist in the front, when in essence, the thing that people are really gravitating to in a lot of ways is the beat. Right?
I love what you're saying about that grounding. The drum is something that can be because with music, people want the melody. That's why the lead guitarist or the singer are usually the famous ones, right?
Yeah.
It's because they got the melody that really moves you into that emotional journey. A kick drum isn't normally used as a melodic; it's more rhythm based. But I'm teaching people that a drum is actually a rhythm, is a melody instrument too. So it has that earthy, embodied kind of connecting into your body, into the earth. But it's got the ability, especially the drums I make, have ringing sounds and high pitched sounds, and you can actually drum. They have multiple tones. So you can have dun,
They
dun,
do.
dun, and so you can actually create little melodies with them. And people are starting to see that you can actually explore with a drum that earthy groundedness. You can explore something more cosmic and shimmery. You can explore making melodies with others and interacting, and so much it can do.
100%. 100%.
So that's now kind of in there again because I retired from it. Everyone in like the Toronto area knows that they were not allowed to refer people to me, even you, because you have so many.
No, I remember. I was like, you were winding it down and go, hold on, whoa. Okay, as you make your last batch, please, I need to see what you've got because I want to get a couple more yet. So don't finish it off completely till I do.
Well, I now have literally 26 frames sitting there right now, getting ready to be finished.
Oh, here we go again, right?
Large batches of drums, and and the beauty right now is that people. I'm the only person I know anywhere that can actually show up with like 20 frame drums that get linked out to people, and we all go on a vision quest together. It's not just like hand drumming in a park together. This is intentional, transformational, taking a concept, an emotion, a memory, and literally going through the process of changing it. We're using words, we're using guided visualization, we're sharing circles, talking, having a therapy, the resolution. All of this happens in one night. And that's just one of the offerings that I just have on the table now. That's a regular Monday night thing that's just always happening. And every now and then there's an event where they snag me and I come in and do a sound bath. And that happens every couple of weeks now. And of course, I'm always available for this. I do my sessions like this. We do talk and even hypnotherapy happens over Zoom.
Oh, yeah. I've done hypnotherapy as well. I mean, you don't have to be in person with, people get worried, well, isn't it? And it's like, no, it's not quite the same as hypnosis. It's like a very beautiful type of meditative space.
Meditative state. Yeah.
You're not gone.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, some people kind of go are connected that way.
Yeah. It's not necessary.
But for the most part, it's not hard to bring them back though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People are so scared. They're either completely scared of hypnotherapy or they completely disbelieve that it's possible for them. Yeah. And it's such an interesting, I'd say the hardest thing for me to sell somebody on as a service is hypnotherapy. And yet it's probably the only one that I have 100% money back guarantee on. I mean, all of my services, I guarantee that there's going to be success and transformation. Yeah. But like when people are like, I literally want to quit this habit cold and never do it again. I'm like, that's your own personal choice. But hypnotherapy, at least I have the most impact on making that happen.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. We're winding down here. And it's one of those things that I know you've changed up a lot of things over the last handful of years. And you and I've done a lot of work together as well. And as you know, as I've told you, I love being able to express to people that if there's certain things that they want and whatever, by all means, this is the person to go to, so I can tell people that are watching this, by all means, the imagination. I've known Peter long enough and done enough work with him myself that I would vouch for his services, although I haven't done them all myself. But for all of the things that I have done through my growth and spiritual growth, Peter's been there a lot to kind of walk alongside and guide me through processes and different aspects of my awakening piece. So yes, and drums, as you know, I definitely vouch for those. I have many of them hanging up behind me. So yeah, that's a definite vouch for as well. And we'll have to talk sometime about sound baths because, as I said to you, the studio that we used to go in all the time is now, she's gone into another space in the building, and it's 5 times what it was and space wise. So we can talk about that another time.
Well, just a quick note that somebody's actually reached out to me and asked me to put together a sound therapy course. I have taught one before, but so I'm currently working on scripting out what sound therapy training that I would offer. So I'm going to,
awesome.
Yeah, because I don't do it very much, but there's so many people that want to, and there really aren't a lot of people that actually do it as true therapy. They just do kind of soundscapes or sounds, baths. But, I can help people learn it as a therapy where they can make active change,
awesome.
Help people to make active changes in themselves using sound.
Okay. Well, I'm still gonna grab you though when I do this occasionally.
No problem.
So I guess we should get going. We're sitting at just over the 1 hour mark. Thank you so much for coming, Peter. It's fabulous talking to you. We haven't, as I said earlier on, I said, we seem to have talked more through COVID than we've had the chance to at this point in time, but I'm busy, you're busy. It's just the way it is. But we need to focus maybe spring, summer, doing some get-togethers, and we'll talk about the sound therapy. I will be putting the links up to reach out to Peter, to contact him with anything that you resonate with, to connect with him for the services and modalities and other things that he provides. So when the link goes up over the next few days, that will be included. Peter, I'll send the information to you as well so that you can share out this wonderful discussion. I think that's it. Do you have any last words you want to say?
Whatever you think was not possible before today, think again.
I hope. Beautiful. So thank you for everybody that's watching this. Reach out. There's so many things available, and the things that Peter does are amazing, and it will definitely help you moving forward in whatever it is that you're feeling you're stuck with, for sure.
Definitely.
Thank you. And we'll say bye to everybody.
Much love. Good to see you as always.
Yes, and you too. And we shall talk soon. Bye, Samantha.
Just drop my drum mallet. Bye.
We'll see you later. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Yes, thank you.